You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Haney, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 14, season 17 of the podcast. And in this episode, we're talking about, of course, Maryland men's basketball team. But before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. I had an announcement posted by my team. We decided to start Christmas break a little early. We're back. This episode will be up sometime tomorrow. Episodes 15 and 16 that will talk about the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders, the last two games for both teams respectfully. We're going to also preview and recap the Maryland women's basketball team. We're getting ready to go into the new year. They're starting to wrap up their schedule in their last final home game of 2023. And then we're going to do a year review, and then Maryland football as we get ready to play Auburn. There's a couple of things I want to talk about, not just about with Maryland getting ready for this game, but more importantly, just some things that have happened since the last regular season game for us. Some things have happened since then. I hope each and every one of you had a wonderful holiday. Hope Santa Claus treated each and every one of you well. Maryland men's basketball team. Wow. This has been kind of an interesting season. They are a better team at home for 7-0. I would have thought this team would have taken a step, especially building off this kind of a success last year. And I've seen struggles. I've seen things that from each game from the start and up until now. We play Coppin State tomorrow. And one thing I'm not really liking, and again, this is the first, technically, we're in month 2, it's 12 games. I'm still going to give them patience. I still think they can get into March Madness. But there are some things that I've seen from this team so far this season that I have questions about. Example, I'm going to kind of jump all over the place in terms of what I've seen from each game. Maryland has a true issue when it comes to scoring the ball offensively. When you look at Kevin Willard's offenses, historically have always struggled. That is a known fact. Had they believe his first year at Seton Hall, they dropped 13 points per game off the season before. it wasn't until his fourth or fifth season, I want to say, is when they started averaging at least 70 points a game. Like it, yes, they went to 5 NCAA tournaments. However, kind of fast forward now at Maryland, second year, this is probably one of the worst offenses I've seen, and that's not throwing any shade. I mean, I think look at the numbers. I think they were like their efficiency was like 104.4. The numbers, the stats don't reflect. Yes, there has to be patience there. I'm not going to disagree with that. However, I can't defend when you have the second worst 3-point shooting in D1 basketball. I can't defend that. I also can't come up with an excuse when you've taken the most threes in the conference. And the glaring hole is you haven't made one of them. Yeah, shooting 40% from the field, and that's not great neither. I believe that's probably the worst in the Big Ten. And then free throws, less than 70%. I mean, a lot of it, especially when you look at it, if you're taking twos and threes, they're shooting under 45%. And I can't defend that. I'm not in no way, shape, or form am I calling for the man's job, not doing that. Also, too, we're turning the ball over at a very, not alarming, but I question the ball handling. I mean, we're turning it over at least 16% when we have the ball offensively. I believe out of Maryland is 195 teams. No, I can't defend that. And the fact that we have been 500 with this type of offense, even though our two all-conference players have tremendously balled out, this team needs work. Jameer Young and Julian Reese, they're going to do their things. They've contributed to about 70% of Maryland's offense. I need others to step up. I mean, that includes what? Of the 209 shots up until now, so far, especially probably after going probably in the first weeks of December, they definitely need help. It doesn't hurt that Hakeem Hart and Eden Martinez, for example, transferred. That hurt them. Hakeem last year was second on the team in points. He averaged about 11 points a game. And then Eden Martinez coming off the bench. They both shot under 35% from three. And so far, Jameer is the only guy I can look to that can shoot the three. He's shot above 30%. And then also too, Don Carey, his shooting, and not having them there makes it tells, excuse me. But Coach Wheeler has not found, to me, he's not found the pieces to fix the glaring holes in this offense. And again, Deshaun Harris-Smith, Jamie Kaiser Jr., they're freshmen. I have to give them time to develop. And I think there's a lot of potential here. I think all of it will straighten itself out. So the same thing with the women. But you still have some guys from last year. This ain't this is if this was like an entire team of freshmen, okay, you may have an argument. But Dante Scott, this is his 5th year with Maryland. And I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know what it is, but he looks at times, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but I don't see him being aggressive at times. I mean, he only got to the fourth up until before the break. He's gotten to the free throw line 14 times. I want to say, if I remember that stat correctly. He's hit 10 of 34 of his threes. I honestly can't defend that. And then I don't think it helps. Especially, I'll give you another example. even though we won from UCLA, that was our first road win of the season. Not a great road team. We struggle away from the Xfinity Center, and it's well documented. And that was probably some of the best basketball that I saw before we went on Christmas break. Now, the offensive struggles in that game particularly, they fixed itself, especially in the second half. I thought the second half was key in there. I mean, it was up 20 points with about 17 minutes left. And unfortunately, and it was cut down to 2. Like, when you look at that, when I look back at the tape, those 12 minutes, I don't know what we were doing. I mean, we were outscored 27-9. And I simply, once again, I have no words.
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. Mm-hmm. What do you want me to say to that?
And also too, I'm not going to lie. Like, this schedule has kind of also tried to hide some of the deficiencies. This is at times we can be very inconsistent. Let me give you an example. Nicholls State. We did win that game, but it was 73-67, if I remember correctly. They, for the most part, Nicholls State, I think, had led for the most part of the second half. But in that game, you're not going to win games, especially when it took you the latter part of the second half to dig deep and beat the Colonels. That's not going to happen. They overall 35.5% from the field, if I remember correctly, and under about 65% from the free throw line. The stats are not going to reflect how poorly we really offensively looked. I mean, when you look when I look back at the tape, Maryland, from the jump, they looked lackadaisical. I saw no energy. I saw little to no effort. I saw like a team that just kind of I don't know if it was fatigue. I don't know what it was, but they, especially getting shots on the perimeter, they were notably kind of lagging. I don't know what that was all about. Yes, they did use their size in the paint, but they had allowed 8 3-pointers. That's you can't let that happen. And then last 9 minutes, about 10 minutes, he scored 31 points. And I don't want to make that a characteristic for this team, but we've got to be a better team when playing consistently for 40 minutes. And then, I'll give another example, sticking with that game. Juju. Man, I mean, we couldn't get him going offensively. And again, they had a small lineup. And I think sometimes, I personally think they should not have had him out there in the second half, because sometimes there's lineups that just don't work. And I think in this particular, he couldn't find a shot. I felt like we could have got him some easy baskets, pick and roll. We could have got him in a pick and pop. We could have got him in a post going a little bit. But it was clear from the tip-off, it was to play through Julian. And our struggles from perimeter, that didn't help. And 10 of 13 misses on 13 shot attempts. You've got to find ways to get him easy buckets. And I thought he did okay in the previous game, but 3 of 11, that was disappointing. He did have 13 rebounds, 6 blocks. I'm going to give him that. But when it mattered, it's about finishing strong. And the same thing happened in the UCLA win. Like, there's things that I'm seeing from this Terp team that's really, really concerning. And give you another example. Alcorn State. We did win that game. It was 105-65, if I remember that score correctly. Offensive rebounds. Can't let that happen. They've from up until that game, defensive rebounds, we struggle in that area. And Maryland dominated Alcorn State in every category of that box score, except second chance points and offensive rebounds. And that's embarrassing.
He didn't even try.
And some of that, I think, was, again, lineups. And I also, too, think that Alcorn State just couldn't capitalize. I really feel as though you've got to be better boxing out. And it's a pattern that I've seen. I'll give you another example. When we beat Penn State. It was a home game for us. Same thing. Started off slow. The first half, we were playing from behind. And offensively, that's where it starts. Their defense, kept us in check in that game. And then again, in the first half, when you're shooting under 30% from the field and then 21% from three, that just won't win basketball.
What was that? This is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
For me, I'm going to give this team time. I'm concerned, but I believe it'll, like Coach Willard said, it'll all work itself out. I do think there do need to be some adjustments to our lineup, and I think also too, I think we kind of had to look at our approach. I think this is a transition year in a sense. It's the expectations, I believe, same like I kind of look at them like compared to the women's side. They got to the Elite Eight last year, lost to South Carolina. They lost Diamond and Abby, and look at the men, Dawn, Hakeem, Ian, key players. And then you're asking freshmen and a couple of players got out the transfer portal. Like you're asking, like the expectations, like right now, and still early in the season, give it time, give them chemistry, all those different things. I think it'll all work itself out. But this is something I should have seen from the jump, especially knowing how Coach Willard has been with his teams offensively. I think it'll work itself out. But I really hope that as time progresses, we fix these offensive issues. I think getting the win on UCLA on the road was big. I think that was a real confidence booster. Because I think, especially when you see coming into Friday's game, you're 0-4 on the road, painfully, especially that includes two embarrassing losses to Villanova and Indiana. That most people picked Maryland to lose this game, and even though we barely escaped with the win against them, and it to me was Jameer Young was an MVP in that game. Finished with a career high 37 points, and I think that was probably his best. That's his career day. Give it to him. Maryland tomorrow. They play Coppin State. Coppin State is 1-12. They're led by former Maryland Terrapin Juan Dixon. Juan Dixon is no longer the head coach. This is Larry Stewart's first year as the head coach for Coppin State, for the Coppin State Eagles. They are actually there's really not a lot to tell scouting wise. Actually, let me look at from their scouting wise. Their offense is not the best. They have the least efficient offense in Division One. Now they do shoot the ball. The stats are very minuscule, and the turnovers are quite frequently high. Their lonely win was against UMBC, and that was the only time so far this season where they've scored 62 points. There have been 6 games where the Eagles have been held to 50 points. Now, the Eagles do a good job of committing turnovers. Their defense is not spectacular, but they're 21st in the country in defensive turnovers. I think they have like the best 16th steal percentage if I saw that stat correctly. They're led by a couple freshmen. They have a junior guard, redshirt senior. One particular, Justin Winston. He's probably the focal point of their offense. He last year had the team best under 14 points a game. He's averaging 5 rebounds a game. He's taken so far this season, looking at the stats, almost about 35% of their shots. I really feel like as a final non-conference game, I feel like this is definitely a tune-up. I think there's got to be some things you got to do. This is our last one because now going into the new year, you got Purdue. Yeah, I think this is a get right game. We got to get Juju back on track. We're gonna take away what happened against UCLA. Personally, I just don't think that was a game. I just don't think that was a game for him. I just think matchups played a factor in that. He had last year we played Coppin State. He dropped 24. So I mean, you're not going to see 1.4 rebounds and 6 fouls. You're not going to see that. That just won't happen. That's not Julian Reese. And I do expect this game to be one-sided, and I'm not really expecting much. But the Maryland Terrapins will beat Coppin State 105-49.
Guaranteed.
That's it's a non-conference opponent, and looking at some of their games, Coppin State, the stats don't. This is something that I just it's going to be a one-sided game. If Maryland's needs to come out offensively strong in the first half, defense, their bench has been something else to watch this year. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, but I need bench production, and that's something that's going to be something to watch. I'm also going to watch the fouls. We got to cut down on the fouls a little bit, but I think the bench is going to be key in this game. 3-point shooting. I'm curious to see how many threes we're going to take. The bench, I need at least 15 points from them. Example, when we beat South Alabama, I want to say it was Harris Smith. He didn't have a bucket. He didn't have a point in that game. And I expect, again, he's a freshman. He's going to have his ups and downs. That's natural as a freshman. Kaiser Jr., I expect him he went scoreless as well. I expect him to get going in there. But Jahir Long and Noah Batchelor, I expect a little bit more from them. I'm curious to know. I expect Kevin to go deep in his rotation a little bit. So, cut down the offensive rebounds are going to be key. Second chance points. Do not allow second chance points. Those are really my keys to beat Coppin State. So, before we get into one final thought, let's get into the sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're already famous? You can and you will with Zagnif Apparel.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
You can and you will with 15% off using my discount code of your final purchase, Big Nate. Thank you, Zagnif Apparel, for being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. Before I forget, I wanted to say my congratulations to Coach Kevin Willard as he got his 300th win against UCLA. Congratulations, Coach. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
One final thought for me is, as we're in this holiday season, I've decided to take this time to do some reflecting and use this time to kind of divert my attention to things that don't require me to be on social media. I want to use this time to re-energize. I want to use this time to focus, put my energy in other things that I feel like are more important. And sometimes you need to decompress from social media. And some things that I see, it doesn't matter the platform. I feel like that's best. So I already made the announcement. That the announcement was posted on YouTube. Excuse me. That up until the New Year's, I'm just going to remain on social media. This is what's best for me, and I ask that you guys respect that at this time. I'm okay. I need to just take a break. And especially some of the things I've seen in the sports media. We're going to talk about that with Washington and Baltimore as we recap those games. And more importantly, this holiday season went by fast. So, just trying to enjoy every minute of it. And more importantly, man, taking a look back on this year, this has been a good year, I would say. I would say so. So, and man, the holidays are just a time to reflect, re-energize, and just get ready for 2024. And we're going to talk about that in a year of review video. So stay tuned in for that. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I've been have been on social media break for last few weeks now. So We'll be back on there in the new year. But until then, you're still going to see all these episodes. You're still going to see Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. That's not going anywhere. As the next few weeks episodes go, you will notice that we have made some cosmetic changes to Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. We will have a very special guest come in. We want to hold off on that. There's a couple things we're going to work on in the next season 18. Need to start doing the NFL mock draft. Probably will not start working on the WNBA mock draft 2.0 until sometime February-ish, because free agency is about to start. So, and then MLB mock draft. Definitely got to do that. But until then, be tuned in for future episodes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a great day. Stay safe. And again, hey, I appreciate the support you're giving me in this channel. And 2024 is almost here. Y'all have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Stay out.
If ever you find yourself in need of someone you can count on, call on me. I will be the shoulder on which you can lean. 'Cause I'm always here to listen, to be the one that you can count on. Pick you up when you start to fall. And if you ever need me, girl, all you have to do is call. I'll be the one to dry your tears, the one who will chase away your fears. And I'll go that extra mile to see you smile again. Whenever you need me, I will be there. I'll always be with you to show you I care. No matter what may come, you'll always be my friend.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything you do.